Hello and welcome to the Edit Podcast. This is Questions and Answers edition. I'm your host, Ryan Powell. And as always, I'm joined with Lora to discuss your questions about entrepreneurship, small business, and culture in Wales. So, do you want to just get right into the show?
Shall I get started with the first question for you?
Yes, let's go.
Fab. So the first question is Chloe from Norwich. How do you handle the ethical implications of data collection? Leo from X asks, is it ethical to use customer data for targeted advertising?
Sure. Okay. So, man, there's this big debate on like, how is it ethical, the data collection? Should we put in our email everywhere? All that kind of thing. And I hate the argument, to be honest with you. We agree to it. We signed the thing. Whether you read it or not, that's your problem. Obviously, I didn't either, but I personally don't care. But if I want to use Facebook, for example, to use Facebook as a great example, I have to like abide by their data rules. And the other option is that I don't. I just don't use Facebook. Like I have that ability to, but obviously I will, which means I do have to, sign up and have my email, my number and all that kind of stuff. And again, there are people who are like so against it that they will just not have a Facebook account. That's absolutely fine as well. I love it. I'm a data junkie though, right? Like I love it. It's in everything I do. I target things that I retarget people. I exclude people who have X and Y interests. I absolutely love it. And maybe it's my own bias speaking because I absolutely love it that much. And personally, I like these two questions because they tie in together. One's about data collection and one's about targeted advertising. And I'm like, I'm huge on targeted ads. Something that I would rather have an advert me than an advert not targeting at me. And then some people see it as, oh yeah, it's forceful and it's in your face and it's trying to sell you something, trying to squeeze money out of you. Here's a tip: just don't buy it. Really, really simple, right? But like, if I'm like, oh, I want a watch, but I want a new watch, but I haven't really got the money to at the moment or whatever, and I see an advert of a watch, that doesn't mean, oh, now I'm going to spend money. No, it doesn't. It means I've been advertised something, I've been shown something, and I can make the decision of, no, it's got a gun to my head. So, like, honestly, I don't know why this is. I actually don't know why this is a debate. Basically, like, you do not have to buy things just because they're targeted at you. And yeah, I actually worked for a marketing agency and I worked at an SEO agency. And I can't give any specifics because I'm sworn in contract. But what I can tell you is some strategy that is used is if you've got a house with, let's just say, 4 iPhones in it, you can monitor the movements and you can actually assume that, okay, these 2 iPhones are mum and dad and these 2 iPhones are the children. And if the children were to speak about, I want a drum kit, and they came home, they would actually advertise the drum kit, and you can advertise the drum kit to the parents' iPhone due to it. And it's
You know
in,
what? I knew this was a thing.
it's genuinely, it is. But personally, like I said, if your own willpower is the problem, I mean, that's a you problem, personally, right? But I think it's a good thing. And I actually think it's a good thing because, again, I would rather buy things that I want than without targeted ads and data. Adverts will still exist. Adverts will exist all the time, except though it'll work like TV advertising, where I'm going to sit through adverts about stuff I don't care about. And that does my head in more. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I definitely think there's some spooky stuff going on where phones are listening to your conversations, because I can have a conversation with somebody talking, I don't know, about some particular product, and then the next day it's on your ad, it's on your
Yeah.
on your feed when you're scrolling through, and it is a bit creepy. It is really creepy,
Cool.
but I can see, yeah, but I can see what they're trying to do, and that's trying to get you to impulse buy it straight away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's you having to manage your own and have your own sort of discipline set. So you don't automatically just purchase it. They can be complete impulse buys for you. And it's about you managing your money, isn't it, properly? Yeah, with targeted ads, I can see what they're doing, and they're very crafty about what they do and how they do it. But then again, from a business perspective, I can see why you would target particular people, because if you're a business and you want your business, I don't know, is a hardware store or something like that, and you wanted particularly to target builders, plumbers, plasterers, all those kinds of tradespeople, if they are listed as a tradesperson on a Facebook page, then you want those people to see it rather than your grandparents, let's just
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And I can completely understand the logic behind it. I really do. But I also think, is it overstepping the creepy mark?
I just don't think so. I just don't care. I really don't care. As long as I don't get a message of someone going, "Oh, I just read your conversation with someone." And Germany, yeah, that's a complete data breach. That is. That's something I didn't agree to. And if that were to happen, I would stop using things like Facebook because it doesn't. It just shows me
Yeah.
products, which again, I have an option to click on or not click on. And again, no gun to my head. I don't care. Like, I just don't mind it. Actually, like something, especially for small businesses, some great tools, give away some secret sauce. But like when I worked on a wedding company once, and what we could do is we could actually track when people were like, click the buy button and then clicked off it. So you go to the checkout page and then you go, oh, actually, no, it's too expensive, or I'm not going to make the call. And then what you can do as an advertiser is just target people who only went to that page, but didn't get to the page completion. So they got to the cart page.
Yeah.
They didn't get to the completion page.
They aborted the cart,
Yeah,
basically.
that's right. Yeah. And but you can do your targeting so detailed. You can actually because if you just say, I'll target people who went to the cart page, you'd get people who bought in that as well, because you have to go there before you buy it. But you can actually exclude people who bought and include people who only went to the cart page. You can get like that level of specific. And then you run an ad targeting those people with like common objections. So what we normally run would be like concerned about the price. Here's this offer, or here's why we price the way we do, and here's how we compare to the market. So you think of all the reasons why someone might have clicked off that page, and then you can target them and answer those questions and actually give them a good experience at the end of the day. So I'm like pro for it. And it is mad what we can do with data. I'm pro data. I sit and watch my website for hours and what people do on there. Like, I am strange.
But it tells you a story, doesn't it? As a business owner, it tells you a story. It tells you, is your current marketing strategies working? Do you have to go down the route of being a little bit more targeted or niche in what you do? And like you said, it's about sitting back and watching and analyzing it. Don't get me wrong, not everybody's brain is built to do that, but it's smart marketing is the way I see it. Yes, you can go out there, you can run as many posts as you want on social media, a lot of money on existing marketing ways or tools that are not actually bringing a return in for your business. So I think you as a business owner have to sit back, analyze as well what you've got going on and what is working best for you. And if targeted marketing would be better for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a question from Ella from Cambridge. How do you navigate the challenges of maintaining work-life balance?
So I think it can be hard. It can be hard because you have to have self-discipline. Some people got it. Some people may not have it as strong as others.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to, for example, I work from home, flexible working, whatever you want to call it. And if you don't have a structure to your day, you can easily fall aside of that and end up procrastinating and doing things that wasn't on your list at all. If you work at home, it's so easy to, I don't know, bang a load of washing in, do the dishes that are sitting there, and you can get sucked in to all of those things. But actually, having that discipline, having put that structure in place for you is really important. So you can actually continue to make and achieve your goals going forward, which is a pretty big thing. How do you feel with work-life balance? Because you work weekends and evenings where we work daytime.
Yeah.
How do you find that? Because obviously evenings would be
Chill out. Oh, yeah. For me, as much as I do go to, I'd say most the events or half of the events, I do delegate that. And I'm a bit like you, actually work in the day. I'm more in the office side of things. My partner's more on sites and I know our events and stuff like that. So just for reference, we run an events company. So obviously, like I said, a lot of stuff is like evenings and nights and stuff like that. But again, yeah, I work during the day. In terms of work-life balance or how we manage it, weirdly, I just don't think about it. Like I really don't. I really enjoy work. And it was only till recently I had to stop feeling guilty about that. And that's been a weird thing because I'll get invited to a day out with my friends or, we go to the beach or something. And sometimes like I always make time for people and I love to see them, normally just making coffee or something. But chances are, would I rather be sitting at a beach or like building the company? I actually would rather be building the company. That's just like the honest truth. I just have more fun. It challenges my brain more. There's a lot more creativity to it. Get bored quite easily, just, unless we're doing a cool activity, like, I don't know, one laser tags. I don't know. And then like, yeah, I can like pick and choose. But for me, work-life balance is, I almost feel like I tried it and I tried forcing myself to be more balanced. I end up just making myself more miserable. I enjoy work and I just listen to my body. When my body feels like, I feel like I need a
Yeah.
break or I need to go to bed or I will just do that. I'll just listen to my body. It's really not that complicated. And I don't know why, for me, what I see on social media quite a lot is people trying to break like the secret formula to work-life balance. That's ridiculous because we're all different, right? We're all
Yeah.
different. So it's not, all you got to do is do 3 hours, then have a 2-hour break and then have another 3 hours. No, not really, because I might like working more than someone else. Like my mother and father are real examples. My father, this business owner, works all the time, absolutely loves it. My mum just works as and honestly, she just loves coming home. Right. And they're completely different. And there isn't, and if you were to ask who's happier, I would struggle to tell you because they're both happy in what they're doing.
In what they do in their own little journey.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, and you're right. Everybody is different. Everybody's remit is different. I set myself boundaries, but your boundaries may be very different to mine.
Yeah.
And we all have our individual drivers as well. Like you said, it's that having business, having the excitement, getting everything in place. I get that because as soon as a new project comes in, I am all over it. I've got my planning tools out.
Yeah.
You've got planner, you've got
Your calendar.
even your calendars, even just your brainstorming. That early part of that new project completely drives me. And once I'm in it, I can't get out of it until I've completed that task. And yes, it's about taking breaks as well. You have to make sure that you do take breaks because that does help your thought pattern and that does help your creativeness. I think definitely for me, if I hit a brick wall, I just need to go out and take a walk and change of scenery and then you come back a little bit refreshed.
Yeah.
And with better ideas or new ideas. And I think one of the other things as well is, which is quite popular out there at the minute, and is self-care. And if you don't look after yourself, who will?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the formula. I don't think there's, like you said, there's one master formula for everybody to absolutely nail the work-life balance. But I think knowing and learning about yourself, like you said, learning about when is my body exhausted? When do I need to take a step back and just have a breather? Or when do I need to prioritize certain tasks over other ones? And you have to practice your self-care because you're only human as well. And I think this part boils down to we only have one life. And yes, we want to make the best of it. Yes, we want to be successful and we want to achieve everything that we set out to achieve. But if you burn out, you're not going to get there any quicker. It's going to take you much longer to get there. So it is having that right balance, but learning about yourself along the way, if that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, I know it does. It's an individual question. So figure out what it means to you. Like, how much do you want to work versus how much do you want to like? I wouldn't say live. I don't know. I don't put it. How much do you want to work essentially, and to what limit? What are your boundaries? Like, can you find a career around that? Can you structure your company around that? If you're an entrepreneur, and it really is about that. And for me, it's freedom. My company or the way I try and build everything is systemize everything. My aim is to build a profitable enterprise that works without me in it. That's what I always say. And when it gets to that point and I can work whenever, that'd be great. And that's really what we're all aiming towards. But I don't think there's a right answer. And that's sort of what we do.
No, I don't. I think one thing that has benefited me a lot over the last few years is reflection, and that's taking a step out of the business, just taking a step back and having
Okay.
a look at it as a whole. Because if you don't reflect, you may not learn any lessons. You may just constantly be trugging along, firefighting every day, all the tasks and all the things that you need to get done that day. But at the end of the week, do you reflect on how far you've come, or what you've overcome, or what has been or is still a an issue or something that needs further work at? I think reflection is a really good tool, and I do talk about it a lot to our clients and to the team. Even when we set our goals annually,
Yeah.
the first question that comes out is, so how did you do last year? Did you achieve all your goals? And that little bit of reflection, that split second to get them to think about, to stop and think about it, is a really useful tool, I think, for everybody. Is also to measure. Look how far we've come. Look how far we've started. I started the business with a laptop, a phone, and an idea.
Yeah.
Some
Class.
people would say I'm absolutely bonkers, but I didn't know that I just got made redundant and I was sick to death. Flexible working, be window, and but now I look at it and we've got a team. There's a team, 5 of us now, that we've all got our individual needs at home, and our model of business works for a lot. Okay, so we've got another question for you, and I'm just having a look at it. Amelia from Leicester, are you happy with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so I've got another question for you, and it's from Amelia from Leicester. How do you ensure diversity and inclusion in your hiring practices?
Okay. I don't. But what I mean by that, let me explain. No, what I mean by that is I don't think about it. I literally hire off people's skill levels, and it doesn't matter to me what race. It doesn't matter to me what gender. It generally all it boils down to is the job role and who's got the right experience, the right qualifications, if qualifications are needed, and generally what that person's like in that meeting room with me. And that is more important to me than any race or any gender. And I live by that. We have very like manual jobs, like we set up cinema screen, we set up cinema screens are heavy to go up, which you would probably think, oh, that's a male orientated job, let's say. But we've recently just looked at taking on a site manager who's female because she's just very good. Who cares? I don't care. I do not care. Male, female, race, whatever. It is my hiring practices are literally just on the job. And the thing is, if I end up with the team of all women, or I may end up in a team of all one race or whatever, I'm still not discriminating. And I know in my heart, I know like morality wise, I'm not, I know it's just those people happen to be the best at the job. And actually, I'll give you an example. Our office team is all women. And that's just because, not because women are better, it's because it's because those candidates were better than the candidates they went up against, and they all just happen to be women. And people will read into it. People will think, "Oh, is it this? Is it that? You know, should it be more diverse?" Blah 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 blah. I just think, yeah, that's just social media poisoning, in my opinion. I
Yeah,
generally
no,
think
you're right.
I just hire the best for the job. That is how my company works, and that's our standard. And again, that's the thing to expect. So if you ever apply here, that's what to expect. You'll be up against your skill level. You wouldn't be up against the diversity quota. Not in mine.
No, and I think you're so right. And yes, I've thought about it, but like yourself, when you get those applications in, you're looking for who's got the best skill set to match the need of that role, not who you are outside of work.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I remember we obviously were recruiting at one point, and number of number of applications came in, and somebody asked how old was this person, and I was just like, does it matter how old they are?
Yeah.
If they've got the skill set that the job role is outlining, and they do a good interview, and maybe even if you've got a task for them to do as an example and they complete that, do I really have to know how old they are?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of social media poisoning around it. I think, yes, there are people that probably don't practice it very well and it shows, but maybe this is the new world of sort of work coming out, and people are making a point to be bothered about it, but a lot of people are not bothered about it, if that makes sense. Whereas, like you just said, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter. As long as they can do the job and do it well,
Yeah.
that's all we really worry about. So yeah, no, it could be a very long answer to the question, I think, with all the different debates,
Oh, cool.
arguments around it. Yes, there's been examples in the press where it's not been executed very, very well. But I see that as larger companies rather than smaller companies. Larger companies are always pulled up on diversity, inclusion, equality, and all that. Whereas as smaller businesses, you don't see a lot about that in the press. And maybe that's just the difference in how we manage our business.
Yeah.
And we are creative, we are flexible. Whereas when you're in corporate, it's a very different way of working, I feel.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think we share a similar opinion on that. Just it's essentially just we base on what you can actually do, and that is the fairest way to do it. To be honest, it's nothing about race,
Yeah.
nothing about gender, just what you can do.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever.
No, same years. I've got a question from Jacob from Oxford, and is it fair to use unpaid internships as a way to reduce costs? Most likely.
This is an interesting question. It is very interesting because we offer internships with our CBA because I feel that it's really important that the generation of today know and are able to experience all different scenarios based on what they can do when they leave school. For example, I know a lot of children prefer to learn practically rather than academically. And when they are in school, they are very much poked and prodded. You have to get your grades. You have to do this. You have to get these grades to get into this university. But some kids actually just want to get stuck in, and they want to get in a garage, and they want to start playing around with cars with obviously supervision.
Yeah.
But I think unpaid internships are okay if it's a short placement, just for somebody to understand or go into a workplace and see what it really is like outside of that. Because if you're still in school, you only can take your teacher's word for it. But if you go out there and you spend a day or two out in the garage or the workshop and you're like, actually, I can see myself working here, I really enjoy it, then that is really beneficial to that person to just be able to step into that zone, I think, and be able to experience what it will be like after school, because things can be really different. That said, we have offered paid internships as well. So if there's a longer need for that job role, or that, if that individual, for example, we've had individuals with us where they have shown really good progress during the internship. So they might have come to us for maybe a short part-time 6-week placement.
Okay.
And they have shown extreme knowledge and skill sets in the type of work that we have given them. And I've extended that internship to a paid internship.
Oh,
because that person or that group of people have shown their worth, have shown that they are dedicated, that they've got self-discipline, that they can do everything that we ask them to do, can listen to our feedback and take it on board. There's many occasions where we have taken somebody on for an unpaid internship and then it's moved on to a paid internship. And that has not only benefited us as a business, but it's benefited them as an individual, because it suits that they can maybe do this internship alongside university studies. And again, that has proven a really useful and successful tool for students, because without experience, they will struggle to get jobs after university. And unfortunately, that's just the way society is right now. I've spoken to young people who have come to us on internships and managed to get really good jobs out of it, whereas their friends may have not done internships or any work experience during their course or university course, and they are still struggling to get into the world of work because they don't have the experience to go with the qualifications you set out for that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
But make
I don't know. I
Go
really
on.
struggle like to not pay people because but for a few reasons. And actually, it's not really a big selfless answer either. To be honest with you, it's because when I don't when I found when I don't pay people, they get away with a lot more, and it becomes like everything becomes a grey area rather than black and white. My staff come and
Yeah,
it's not, it's basically like I pay them a set wage to do these tasks essentially. And if they don't do these tasks, then I can go, well, that's a warning. And not doing it, then you're fired. And then if you're fired, then I don't pay you. That's the exchange. Very simple. I love things like I love things being black and white like that. And when it comes to
yeah,
anything that's unpaid or unpaid internships, and even people doing me favors, does my head in because sometimes it's like something more is expected. And again, it just gets all like muddy and weird. So I don't know, like to get the best
yeah,
input. I guess it depends what the exchange is, right? Like, obviously, if they're doing it to get like a big reference or get experience in X, Y, Z, that makes sense. I mean, the question being, is it fair? I mean, yeah, like, again, you don't have to do it. So I guess so. I guess it's fair if the person accepts it, right? And there's a way to reduce
I
costs. It's
think
pretty good for a small business owner, right? Because these things are usually for small businesses. Like,
they are. And I think, again, it's back to managing it correctly. They do a small unpaid placement with us, which is definitely part time and is probably under 6 weeks. I always say to that person, if you ever need a reference,
yeah, that's the
feel free
exchange.
to, to get in touch with me, and I'm happy for you to put my name down. We'll take a lot out of that experience, even though it's a short term. I think being able for them to, one, say that they've had work life experience, they will probably learn a lot of lessons themselves, or just learn things in general about that particular industry that they wouldn't have learned in the classroom, that you would only learn as you're doing something. I think that is really an important and valuable thing that they can take away
Yeah.
from
If
that.
you,
And also,
oh, go on,
I
sorry.
think, which is part of what you've just mentioned as well, is being transparent about what the expectations are of that role, what your end goal is.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if they don't achieve that, you sit down, you reflect, you have that conversation with that person. Um, and I've always been open with the students that have worked with us. I will sit down and have a conversation with them just like this. There's no sort of hierarchy.
Okay, cool.
I'm just a person. You can ask me as many questions as you want, or any stupid questions you want. I will try and do my best to answer those for you. But I think, yes, it's unpaid. Don't take advantage of that. So don't ask them to achieve the
Oh,
world,
yeah.
because
So take them there.
you've got to think, because you've got to think, if I was having an unpaid internship for the next 3 weeks or something along those lines, what would I think would be a bit over the top asking for? Do you know what I mean? What could you ask them to do without taking the
Yeah.
full pay?
And volunteering. I
Yeah,
mean,
yes, I've done volunteering and I've had my hand burned because of
yeah,
it, but
really.
that's
I've never
me.
done it. I just like I've been 27. I don't know what that says about me, but I actually quit Duke of Edinburgh because we had to do volunteering. And I was like, I'm not doing that, I'm not getting paid. Honestly, I don't know, even from a young age, right? I'm just like, I don't know, I just couldn't. I couldn't make, I don't know. I was like, if I'm going to go work and it's swimming pool for public service, you better pay me. And like, I'm not doing it otherwise. I've just never done it.
Yeah. There's certain jobs out there that I probably wouldn't do it if I wasn't paid. I
Maybe
would
I'm just
be,
not, I might
I'm
just be
being
horrible,
honest.
to be honest with you. I don't
But
yeah.
I do volunteering things. I do talk myself into these situations. I do love that side of my work. I must admit, I do a lot outside of just the business, work with sort of big ideas wells to give those young people a different perspective to think about. I do love that kind of work. Yes, I have to be careful along doing volunteering work and basically unpaid work and paid work, because you could talk yourself into not having a wage by the end of the
Yeah.
month.
I,
So you did.
I'm like the laziest, honestly, if I'm not paid, I'm like the laziest person alive. I actually am. Like, I'm pretty, pe- people get weird about this, so they get weird admit it, but I am money motivated. I'm happy
Yeah.
to say it as well. I like the knock-on effect. And so I like being really ethical with my team and all these things. Of course I do. But at the end of the day, if I didn't get paid, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. And I'm like that for most things. And honestly, if money didn't exist, I genuinely think I would just watch Netflix all the time. Weird. And like, I don't know. Maybe that says all bad things about me. I don't know. Maybe that's a conversation for another day. But I genuinely, I do things for money. I do. That's the bottom line. And I don't think
And
that's a bad thing as a business owner either.
no, I honestly don't think it's a bad thing. I think in the economy we live in right now, it's appalling. And if we are doing a lot of volunteering work, we're stitching ourselves up in the long run, because we all have bills to pay at the end of the day and outgoings that we need to pay off. And I get that. I really do. I don't know, there's just a part of me that just loves doing those little sessions with people.
That's really good
I
of you.
even,
That's really good.
I'm a bit of a sucker. I'm a bit of a sucker, because somebody can just call me up and say, can I pick your brains about this? And that's just me. If I've learned
Oh yeah.
from something, then I will share with them my knowledge to try and hopefully not get them into a sticky situation.
Yeah.
Your knowledge can always help someone else. But I think you have to be very mindful of how much you are doing and what is your remit, because people will take advantage of you if you offer your time for free.
Yeah, it's like a people
And
pleaser type discussion, isn't it? I think
yeah,
that's
and I have experienced that before and put a lot of time into certain things and been brushed to the side on certain projects or something. And I think there's a level of, I think with volunteers, you have to have a level of respect for them as well, in terms of they actually giving you something for free. The least you can do is treat them nice or treat them to something down the line. I don't know
yeah.
whether it's an event or whether it's a get together or whatever, but yeah, I do. It's a very tricky one, isn't it? It's very different one. I guess there are many different perspectives around volunteering. And I know some charities, some organizations, if they didn't have volunteers, they wouldn't be able to function. So there is a different side of it to see there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just don't get taken advantage of, I think is the answer to that one.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wrapped this week's questions and answers edition of The Edit. If you've got a question on entrepreneurship, or you're in the creative sector and need our answers to your burning questions, please drop us an email at theeditwales@gmail.com, and hopefully we'll be answering them on the next show.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.